Welcome back to another episode. The brothers are back. I'm Dr. Nick, and this is my brother, Dr. Jake. Jake, how are you?
Dude, I'm here. I'm happy to be here, man. It was a journey to get to this recording moment, let me tell you.
What was going on? Well, congratulations. Extended from the whole podcast universe, Dr. Jake.
That's
Between
right.
last episode and this, had a baby.
That's right. The clan is growing, the tribe's growing. Beautiful, healthy little boy. And I'm doing great.
That's good.
Yeah, man. One of those things, we think we got ourselves into a nice rhythm with the new baby, but then our 4-year-old gets pretty bad cough. And so, we got this. We're seasoned parents at this point. So I sleep with him in his room because we know when he coughs, he's up a ton in the night and he'll just run straight into the room and then cough all over mom, cough all over baby. So I'm like running interference and I'm just going to do that. But a rhythm that's been working for us is now that my wife's pumping, there's a bottle waiting for me, and I take a between a midnight and 1 shift, and we try to time it out. So like that's when he's going to want to feed. And so I get up at midnight, get the bottle warm, and I hear my 4-year-old run across the hallway into mom's room. And I'm like, no. So I go running in. He's already on top of her. She's holding the baby because he's up, coughing all over them. I hand the bottle over. I'm like, I'll take him back. Bring him back into bed. And he's now like crying because he wants mommy, understandably. And it's hard to communicate to him like, bro, this is not a good situation. But I also don't want him to feel like he's unwanted or there's something wrong with him, right? So he's like, I want to sleep with mommy. I'm like, yep, totally get it. So instead of being like, you can't because you're sick and unwanted, you're unclean, it's like, hey, mommy's not sleeping right now. She's going to be up and she's going to feed the baby. And he's like, I don't care. I want mommy to hold me. And it's like, sorry, bro, I'm going to hold you. When mommy goes to bed, like maybe you can snuggle with her later. And so he's resisting, and he's like, because he's crying, he's like in a super coughing spree, and can't really get him calmed down. Start to a little bit, and mom comes in with some like cough medicine, and I'm like, that is helpful. I'd consider doing that myself, but him seeing her made him want her even more. So now we're like wrestling in bed.
Oh, yeah.
He's trying every tactic, including like inchworming. Like I'm holding him and he's like inching out of the bed, like an inch every 10 seconds. And I'm like, all right, let me see if maybe he falls asleep with this strategy. And he does not. So I have to pull him back and we're fighting. Eventually he, I don't know, falls back asleep out of exhaustion. Now it's like 1:15 and he's finally down. And I'm like, whew, that's good news. Like a minute later, I feel this warmth on my arm and I'm like, oh no, he's peed. He's
Oh,
peed.
no.
And he's finally asleep. Normally we would just go into the guest bed, the extra bed, but my mother-in-law is staying with us to help out. So we have no extra bed. So now I have to like ninja change him without waking him up because I don't want to start that battle all over again.
Been there,
Throw
yep.
throw a thick blanket over the bed for something for us to sleep on that's not wet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then yeah, I still had like the morning shift because my wife sleeps really good from like 5 to 7. That's like a deep sleep for her. So I have the baby and the boy. He wakes up early again because he's coughing, which just wakes him up. And he's a morning person, so he's up. Got both boys, feeding them. Anyway, I'm here now. I made it.
Yeah, that just happened, huh?
Yeah, yeah, because we're recording bright and early in the morning. How was your night?
Well, it was pretty good. I mean, the boys and I, we all got sick this week. I guess starting with me, but
Yeah, you have a nice little baritone to your voice right now. I'm gonna try to match it.
oh
Try to go a
yeah.
little deeper.
I was trying to think of a Barry White song, but yeah, so we I had a pretty good letting go experience with this one. Would have been 2 nights ago because we got the whole fever situation and guess it must be I don't know if it's a flu or something like that. I heard the flu this year is kind of crazy, but we well, it doesn't really matter what it is. I got it, and then I was hoping to work the following day, but also want to be respectful of people and their beliefs. So before going to bed, I did some letting go. And with an illness, letting go can be a little bit tricky because there's like lots of symptoms. So when you first practice it, you're just doing it like I have shoulder pain and you do letting go. I think that could be like a better way to practice, but sometimes an illness can be tricky.
What's tricky about it?
Oh yeah, okay. There could be a lot of tricky things about it. I mean, I'd say the belief part about it is the tricky part too. People have some really, really long-standing, very firm beliefs about illness and bugs getting passed around and all that, germ theory stuff. But also because there could be a lot of symptoms all at one time, I find that it could be tricky to kind of use your focus and awareness. So for me, maybe. So I was doing it and I usually wait to feel like a shift, but I wasn't feeling a shift in my symptoms. Like, a shift usually it's like, oh, it feels a little bit better. I wasn't feeling a shift, so I just kept focusing and just like allowing my body to do whatever it needed to do, not resisting the sensations, the feelings, the illness, whatever, the experience of it. And I think the previous night I needed like NyQuil to go to sleep just because of the headache and the fever and all that stuff. And somehow in the process of this like 5-minute kind of focus time, I just fell asleep. And then I woke up a couple hours later because one of the boys was coughing.
Mm-hmm.
And I had none of the symptoms except for, some of the mucus stuff still, but like no fever, no aches, no headache, no sore throat. That all went from about, like a 7 out of 10 to a 0 out of 10 in like 2 hours, So I was like, whoa, that actually really worked this time. But maybe I didn't do it well enough for, the mucus because I still kind of got that part. But and then last night, because the boys got it, the boys got it when I was starting to feel better, both the boys got it. And so last night I built a chi field. This is kind of more an advanced thing that we'll teach in our classes. So if anyone's interested in doing some of the class work, so I built a chi field. They both had fevers, both coming down with it yesterday, and then just got, they slept through the night. No one woke up last night, which is always a good sign, So that's something we could teach. But so that was going better than I thought.
That's pretty good. This is the first season that I start working with some of my clients if they want to, who are sick or coming down with something, or maybe they're hit really hard, and I offer like a 5-minute call. I just tell them like these are, I don't know, because people don't usually reach out to me in between sessions if they're just coming down with a flu or a cold or something. But if they cancel, This is the first season where I say, do you have strength to just get on the phone for 5 minutes and let me walk you through something? And then I'll walk him through this letting go technique, the surrender method from Dr. Hawkins, and they have pretty profound results so far. Never done it before. I never thought to for whatever reason. Maybe I wasn't ready to do this kind of work. But all of them are like, wow, remarkably better on the other side, which is really cool. So it's probably worth walking through this this profound self-healing technique. And yeah,
Well, yeah.
let's do it.
Well, and yeah, we had other plans for what this podcast was going to be, but I kind of like where this is going. And something I think kind of sets the stage for illness and infection. Using some understanding from German new medicine and some other things that we know about, like Dr. Béchamp, who's kind of the guy who came up with the bioterrain theory, and versus Louis Pasteur, who's the guy who talked about the germ theory. There's this different, and for the record, Louis Pasteur did the whole deathbed thing and said that he was wrong and Béchamp was right. So there is this like this understanding of the germ theory, but this is what we in society, this is what has dominated, is the germ theory. Basically, germs go around and everyone gets it, right? So people catch a cold or whatever. But Béchamp was talking about how you have this bioterrain, and very likely, I mean, you get this whole, as a baby going through the birth canal, you get all kinds of microbes from your mom, including probably some amount of any infection she might have had at some point in her life.
Yeah.
And so it's all already kind of within you, and this sets the stage for a lot of things. But a lot of us, in your terrain, you have strep, you have staph, you have candida, you have
influenza A, B, yep, all that.
Oh, totally. It's already within you. I mean, it's on your skin at all times. You can't really get away with it. They swabbed in New York City a couple years ago. They were just writing an article about it. They swabbed every public surface and found antibiotic resistant staph on every surface in New York City.
There you go.
Which is pretty interesting. So any public surface that you would touch, like door handles and subway, whatever. So it's everywhere. It's within you. So how come we're not just getting sick all the time? And what is the deal with us getting sick anyways? Obviously we have a stress factor that we always seem to get sick when we're stressed. I think just taking clues from nature, and I'd like to hear Jake's thoughts after this, because I don't know if we've talked about this recently, but I think, just taking cues from nature, like you look out in a forest and, a tree falls, and then, after the tree's dead, like it gets covered in mushrooms and like other, moss and stuff, and that all eats away at the tree, decomposes it, turns it back to soil. I think a lot of our infection is like a process of recycling. And it's like, it's our body going through a process to kind of reboot, clean up, detox, you could say. And German new medicine has some similar ideas when you get into their like embryology thing and infections of like the nervous system being, or cleaning out the nervous system having a lot to do with virus. And Jake would probably know those things a little bit better than me, but I think that it seems to be a process, and I find that it's interesting a lot of times when people are sick, they're kind of different afterwards, like you come through a sickness, and like sometimes people even have like new resolutions on life.
Yeah, well,
You know what I
there's
mean?
a spiritual component to being humbled, that
Yeah.
humbling of like, will I ever breathe through my nose ever again in the rest of my life?
Yeah.
Will that
Yeah.
ever happen for me? Right? Taking for granted something simple like breath. And a sickness can put you back in your place a little bit, which opens you up to some revelation. Definitely. So there's a spiritual component to it. The way I think like the easiest way to illustrate an infection is through this idea. So like your forest analogy, this constant recycling, your body is already doing that. Like sickness or no sickness, you're turning over cells on a daily basis. Something like 50 billion cells turn over every day for you, right? Because cells wear out. And so the cells replicate, you break down the old cells, you recycle useful proteins and things like that, and then you eliminate waste. And so that's happening all the time, but that does require energy. Your body's doing a lot of things at all times, right? Now, if you're pushing yourself towards more of an exhausted state, right? And we've talked about this in countless podcasts where the source of disease is ultimately exhaustion, right? Because your body's designed to self-regulate, self-heal, self-repair. But when you're in a state of exhaustion, your body has to pick and choose what it's going to do with the limited resources that it has, right? And it's going to choose to stay alive. So it's going to energize systems required for just being alive in this moment. Healing and repair, while important for longevity, isn't necessarily important for staying alive in the moment, right? And so if you're in a state of exhaustion, which can happen from mental, emotional stress, biochemical stress, physical stress, anything can kind of push you over that threshold. Well, when your body has to go into, say, like battery saving mode, right? Like your phone does that too. If you're on low battery, you can go on like low power mode. And what it does is it shuts down unnecessary processes in the moment, right? So your body does a similar thing. And so what happens is this 50 billion cells that get turned over every day, you start to get behind in that work. And if you stay behind, if you go deep enough into deficit, what can happen as a solution to that is you can get an infection. Okay. And what happens is you say the word infection, but what's going on is actually a massive regenerative event in your body. It's your body catching up, and it can select a particular pathogen that's already in your environment to do the work that needs to be done. Because what pathogens do, and particularly like viruses, like coronavirus, for example, we knew only really attacked damaged cells. Healthy cells were left intact. And so what a pathogen can do, like a flu, is targets all the damaged or worn out cells, infects them, and it sparks this rapid regeneration process in your body. So it breaks down those old cells faster. Your energy is not being allocated necessarily towards immunological function. Like everyone knows when you have the flu or like a bad cold, you're just exhausted, right? You're tired. You have no energy. That energy is going towards healing, actually, not just an immunological, like fighting off an illness. And so a lot of these symptoms of an illness are actually healing symptoms. So this would be, it's well researched in German new medicine. So it's like, okay, a fever or inflammation, which could feel like achiness in your body, or coughing, sneezing, mucus drainage. These are all symptoms of a healing process. So even you doing the surrender process, you still had this mucus. Well, that's your body. So like quickly getting rid of like waste product from the breakdown of old cells to make room for new. So again, your body recycles some useful components in a cell, but there's a lot of dead tissue to be eliminated, and you'll do that through urination or any kind of bathroom function, but also through your like mucosal lining. So in your lungs, you coughing up stuff, or through your sinuses, draining things. So that's actually an important healing process. And what's important to know is if you have the vitality to get through an infection, because again, not everyone does. So like we don't want to dismiss the danger of like flu for certain people. You know what I mean? But if you have the vitality to actually undertake this project, you're technically on a cellular level anyway, a little younger on the other side. So you have all these fresh cells from this regeneration that you just underwent. So getting sick is actually a really important process of longevity. It's like a catching up
Yeah.
on your regeneration of your cells.
Well, yeah, that's well said. Tom Cohen has a cool book, Dr. Tom Cohen. I don't know if you've read his stuff, but
I have not.
he goes through, he has a book, I think it's on autoimmunity or something, but he goes through a bunch of studies that show what certain infections do positively for your health, including like there's some infections that have been shown to like reduce cancer mortality and yeah, and actually that's one way that they used to treat cancer back in the day was inducing fevers. And that was super successful, by the way. But
Some people still do that. It's like these scuba suits that you sit in. That just runs really warm water, so it can like precisely, almost like when you're sous vide food, the water
yeah,
in this suit can get to a precise temperature. Whereas if you like, so you can hold it at that temperature more consistently. Whereas if you just do sauna, like you might go into a sauna that's 170 degrees. That's like you being in the oven. There's limitations to how long you can be in an oven,
yeah,
but these suits can hold you to a precise, like high fever temp.
yeah,
And it's a type of like natural chemotherapy for cancer. Like it's going on out there as we speak.
yeah. And this is all kind of stuff that was done before the well, not get all into the conspiracies, but there was a big stockpile of mustard gas and chemotherapy drugs all come from that.
The same companies.
Yeah. Anyways, that's another thing. But kind of getting back to the point of infection. Did you ever read? This is actually one of my favorite books on healing. It's called "Healing is Voltage" from Jerry Tennant.
Nope, I have not heard.
Oh,
Not read.
baby. Well, I absolutely love that book, but he does explain kind of like the specifics of, this healing event with infection. And just as you were describing, of course, what tips the body off is the voltage. So obviously your cells have to be healthy enough to die. That sounds weird, but that's what happens when they reproduce. And they have to be at a specific voltage to reproduce. And that's negative 50 millivolts. Negative 20 is like a healthy cell just doing its thing. And this is all the cells in the body are on average around that. Now, that could also be a measurement of pH. So voltage and pH they can go hand in hand. They're kind of synonymous. Now, a lot of times people, if you look on the internet of like pH diets, like alkaline diets and whatever, you might find a lot of doctors making fun of. I found one like neurosurgeon talking about, this is on YouTube, how alkaline diet's a load of crap, but he only talks about the blood pH. And I'm like, well, of course your blood pH doesn't change. But what about
No,
cellular
that's true.
pH? What about tissue pH?
They do not ever, when you do lab work, they never test the pH of your blood, because if you're alive, we know what it is.
Yeah.
That's the only test. Are you alive? All right, we know roughly what your pH is of your blood, because it has to
Yeah.
stay between like 7.35 and 7.45 pH, something like that.
Precisely. Yeah, precisely that. But your tissue pH changes. And so if your cells are unhealthy, the pH will go, or the voltage will go up from negative to positive. Cancer cells, interestingly enough, all seem to be positive voltage. So there's lost that negative voltage, which, if you look around, nature is negatively charged. You have, trees have negative ions, ocean has negative ions, the ground has negative ions. Cancer cells seem to be positive, which is interesting. But not surprising. Okay. And so, yeah, these are like zombie cells you could think about. These are cells that are not healthy enough to die and reproduce correctly. So also, as your voltage uh, goes into the more positive levels, it actually stimulates infection. I mean, you could think about this in a similar way as like the pH of a pool. If your pool's not the proper pH, it'll start to grow like algae and scum and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
It's the same thing happening within your body. So if your pH is not quite right, all the critters start to come out. And that's perfect harmony, really, when you think about it. It's like now it's opportunistic for them to take over and basically take the wheel. They're like, oh, these cells aren't doing the job. Now these candida cells are going to have an overgrowth, and they're going to take over and do some of the work.
I can hear, just a quick aside, I can hear some listeners out there. I can feel them being like, wait, go back to alkaline diets. Should I do that? Is that, you skimmed over that. Is that a bad thing? I've been doing an alkaline diet. Is that not important?
We haven't talked about this in a while, but should we go into it?
Just real quickly for people wondering, like, wait, should I not be doing an alkaline diet or drinking, like spending money on alkaline water? And I don't really feel like you need to spend money on alkaline water whatsoever. And something that I guess people don't necessarily realize is like your diet doesn't make you in any given moment acidic or alkaline, because your body's going to be adaptive. Like if you do the, like, again, we know your blood's consistent, but you can do your tissue and your body's going to serve different functions in a more alkaline state or a more acidic state. And your body has the dynamic capability to shift based on need. That being said, what your diet allows you to do is have like buffering reserves to buffer acidity. And so you need those reserves, which are basically minerals. So you
Yeah.
need a diet that's rich in minerals in order for your body to have that dynamic. So when it needs to be acidic, which might be like in like a tough workout or something, it needs to have the ability to buffer and control pH as it deems necessary. Now, if your diet is poor in minerals, what your body can do, because it's brilliant, is it can leach minerals from parts of your body that store minerals, like your bones, for example. So if you have a really acidic diet over a period of time, your body's going to do its best to stay controlled from a pH level, but it's going to do that by essentially borrowing from tissue that stores it, which is not good long term. It's cool that your body can do that in the short term, but that creates problems down the road if that's how you're living. So yeah, an alkaline diet makes a ton of sense, but like alkaline water, not necessarily. Just make sure you have a lot of minerals in your diet.
Well, yeah, and the alkaline water thing too is like you need your stomach to be super acidic. And so if the stomach acid is becoming more alkaline, that could be a problem for a lot of people.
Yeah,
Um,
and yeah, it's an alkaline water doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is getting back to this cell voltage issue, which is why structured water or phase 4 water is where it's at,
oh yeah.
because that's about optimizing your cell voltage capacity, which will be another episode, I'm sure. But yeah, alkaline water, I mean, if it's in front of you, great. I just wouldn't spend a lot of money on it.
Right. And for that matter, since we
Okay.
touched on optimal diets, I'd say optimal diet is always nutrient dense food, making it
There you
easy
go.
for your body to eat it too.
Yeah, give it
Cooking
the
in
raw
ways that's not too
materials.
hard.
Yeah. I always think give your body the raw materials. Like you, as a person who gets to choose what you want to eat, you're not like the grand like architect or even the general contractor for this project of the body upkeeping itself, but you are like, you're the supplier. So it's like bring quality materials into the body and a variety of materials so the intelligence of the body can do the work that it needs to do.
Yeah.
So just give it the raw materials. Otherwise, it might have to cut corners because your body will cut corners if it needs to stay
Yeah.
alive. Give it
Yep.
good quality material for it to do all the process that it needs to do. And nutrient dense food is the surest bet. All right, this isn't a nutrition episode because what I want to know, Nick, is how did you do this letting go process while feeling sick? How'd you do it? Do you have to be like an enlightened person to do it?
Oh, absolutely not.
Do you have to
The proof
be,
is in the pudding there.
yeah, do you have to be somewhat conscious to do it?
Yeah. I mean, you could do it in a fever state for sure, though. You
But
could
could you
be
do it
kind of,
if you're anxious or worried or angry at your spouse for bringing a germ home or something? Could you do it under those conditions?
yeah, because it should feel like you're doing almost nothing. I mean, it should feel like floating, right? Where all the resistance is the effort. If I'm trying to walk through a strong stream, that's effort. If I just float down the stream on my back, no effort. So letting go is not resisting. What are we letting go of? Resistance.
Could I make an argument that being angry is being in resistance?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, or being fearful. Being fearful is being in resistance. But the beauty of this letting go technique is even if you are in a fearful state, as soon as you choose, you make the choice to go through this letting go process, the process itself will resolve the fear.
Yeah.
So you can be in a fearful state, for example, which is resistance. But if you do each step wholeheartedly, that'll resolve the fear as well. You have to make the
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah. And part of I think difficulty up front when people are practicing the letting go technique is that they become fearful of the feelings, or they start to add on a second layer of resistance, right? It's like, oh, I'm a terrible person for feeling this way or whatever.
Right.
Judgment and condemnation, whatever else. So it's
Yeah.
like you can't go into a really analytical space. We're not problem solving anything. You're not problem solving the illness.
You're getting out of your way.
Yeah. You're
That's what
just
I
in
think
that
of it.
place of allowing.
Yeah.
And you're like, I am okay either way.
Yeah. So let's go through the steps. So first, you have to make the choice. So that's not one of Dr. Hawkins' steps, but for me, that is an important step. Is like, oh, I can actually do something right now. I'm recognizing that there's an experience that I'm having where healing could take place. So for me, that's not a Dr. Hawkins step, but I think it's important to be like, can you even recognize you're in an opportunity for healing? And if you recognize it, then you can get to his first step, which really is getting out of resistance. And the easiest way to do that is just by deciding to allow yourself to have whatever this experience is. And what's important is you don't try to name it. It's just an experience. If you say, oh, I'm getting the flu because my wife had it, or my husband had it, or my coworker, or whatever, this is the flu. Uh, why is that a problem, Nick? Why don't you name the thing?
Well, because you have all kinds of, you have this brain that's really strong, or mind that's really strong at empowering your body in certain directions. If you go into a belief about it, then you have to wrestle with the beliefs. You have to be able to undo beliefs and all that stuff that goes around with it. If I really believe that this and that and this has happened, and you might think maybe you don't have any strong beliefs about it, but you do, because we all grew up in a certain society and family and whatever, right? So
Yeah,
in my opinion, yeah, you want to stay out of naming certain things because
because your
it,
body will go into the programming.
it will go in the programming. Yeah.
There's all kinds of interesting studies out there, placebo studies or nocebo studies, nocebo being the inverse of placebos, where it's like they give these people a food to try to rank it. And then it's like, oops, this is the gluten-free group, right? We were supposed to do, oh no, we gave you the wrong food to try. This had gluten. We're really sorry. And of course it didn't have gluten, but people thought they got gluten and they watched them get like hives or diarrhea, all kinds of like physical symptoms. So not like this is in your head. It's like, no, they got hives. Why would they get hives? Well, it's because they have gotten hives before from gluten exposure. And so once they believed they were in an experience, the body's like, oh yeah, we know what to do here. We know what to do. We know what this is. Like another study I really like is on this, like people thought they were trying these shakes. There's two groups. One thought they were trying like a weight loss, low calorie shake, and the other group thought they were trying like a weight gain or like muscle gain, high calorie shake. Same shake, but then two different groups. They monitored them for 2 hours, and of course, the ones who thought they were on a weight loss shake were all hungry in 2 hours. But it wasn't just in their head; they actually did a blood draw, and they were high in a hormone called ghrelin. It's a hunger signaling hormone. Like they had a hormonal change because they believed they were drinking weight loss food. And of course, the muscle gain high calorie group, same shake, all reported being satiated 2 hours later. And so that's the first thing about getting out of like a programming is don't placebo or nocebo yourself, because your body's like, oh, we know what to do. Oh, the flu, we know what that is. And the body can just start going through a symptom profile based on a belief.
Yep.
So, and that's true for like acid reflux or migraines. It's like, oh no, I think I'm getting acid reflux. If that's the belief, like your body can just go through it like a script. Oh, acid reflux, we know what to do here. And so this letting go process is like, maybe I don't know what this is. I'm open to a brand new experience. I'm open. Let's see what happens. Maybe I don't know what this is. So the first step is allow yourself to have an experience, and don't call it anything. It's just an experience you're going to allow. That's step one. Is that what you did? In the middle of the night? In bed?
Yeah. I mean, I like to, from my perspective, I like to kind of attack the belief head on too at this point.
That's
so I like to try to update and delete the beliefs, you know.
But that's kind of step 3 for Hawkins. So you're advanced. You can kind of like, you can play jazz music with this. But Hawkins kind of canceling is step 3. So step 2 for Hawkins is once you're allowing yourself to have an experience, you go further, you go deeper, and you actually welcome it. I'm welcoming this experience. And now instead of not using any names like a flu or a headache, you don't use any words at all. This isn't good or bad, hot or cold, comfortable, uncomfortable. I'm just allowing this experience in this moment right now. No words, which is really hard to do. So it does take some practice. And that's why it's easier, you said, like with one symptom, like shoulder pain, it's easier. Whereas like a flu is like a plethora of symptoms.
Totally.
Yeah. But it's like not using any words, not describing this at all. I'm just welcoming this. And then step 3 is canceling. How do you do that, Nick? What's your strategy
for canceling?
Canceling the belief.
Canceling the belief. Well, I'm always doing that. I mean, I live a lifestyle of canceling beliefs as they come up. I mean,
I know, but how do you do that in your head? Like, can you break it down?
Well,
how you do it? I'll break down how I understand it, but I want to see how you do it.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I don't think anyone's ever asked me this, but I, you know, because I've seen a lot of healing, and then healing itself can be very nonlinear. I prioritize a nonlinear. Well, okay, this is going to be way too complicated for people. All right, simplify. As beliefs come up that I'm aware of, right? Someone says something, for instance, like, "Oh, the flu's coming around. You know, everyone's getting the flu." I think in my head, you know, or like a friend's coming over, and it's like, "Oh, our kid had this week. Is that okay if we come over? We don't want your kids to catch a bug." Okay, boom. I'm already confronted with the belief. I'm confronted with their belief. I'm confronted with society's belief. And I basically try to de-energize that charge, that belief, by basically just first of all, saying no to it. in my head.
Mhm.
I have to be able to be like, not opting in, right? If there's a checkbox and it's like, do I opt into this or do I not opt in? It's like, not opting into this. Just because that's happened in the past does not make it true. Does not make it true, right? Just because, you know, uh, it's a non sequitur. Just because it's happened does not mean that it's all of reality.
Yeah. Here's what Hawkins says about it. So this is something you can write down, and next time you're in an opportunity to do this letting go work, this is what you can say to yourself. You can say, I am an infinitely healthy being, and I'm no longer subject to that. And so that being the programming, the brainwashing, the indoctrination, whatever it is from the past, any kind of software download about your particular illness or symptom. I'm an infinitely healthy being, and I'm no longer subject to that. I'm only subject to that which I hold in mind. Okay, now you can't choose everything that pops into your head. A lot of your thoughts, most of your thoughts are reactive, frankly, but you can choose what you hold in your mind. And so in that moment, you're going out of this like fear programming, this lack programming, this victim programming, like I'm the victim of this microbe, into an empowered state. So the thing that Hawkins recommends you hold in mind is love. If you can't get that, gratitude is still very energizing, and almost anyone can get into a gratitude state. But love is a very powerful healing state. So I'm no longer subject to that, the old programming. I'm only subject to that which I hold in mind. And you're recognizing you have a choice of what you want to hold in mind. And if you can hold love in mind using like memories or your imagination, relationships you have in your life, you can raise your field into a very powerful healing state, and that can be instantly transformative in your physical body.
Yeah, and the infinite being part, you say, I'm an infinitely healthy being. Keyword is infinite being. You're putting the right understanding on this fact that you're not just you're not just matter, but also a soul that's immortal, right?
Yeah,
And
and so
so,
the idea is, I believe there's a source of health, and that source is infinite, and I believe I could be connected to that source, which makes me infinitely healthy if I'm connected. Does that make sense?
yeah,
And so if you're like, I don't believe in a higher power, well, this probably won't work for you. Dr. Hawkins says something, I'm paraphrasing. I should know this quote because it's really good, but he says something like, those who deny the fundamental nature of truth are denied its benefits.
yeah.
So if you're an atheist and you've denied that there's a fundamental, creative, benevolent, loving presence, and a source of healing power, source of love, joy, peace, if you deny that, then you deny the benefits of that. And so, yeah, techniques like this probably will have no effect for you. And then goes, you'll get the ego payoff by saying, I knew this wouldn't work. I knew this wasn't true.
Oh man. Yep. And that might be what the learning you're supposed to go through right now.
Yep.
So might as well get the bennies, you know?
Might as well get the bennies.
Okay, well, this is a pod. We all got other things to do, including getting to work.
Yeah.
So
Great pod though. This is fun. I'm glad.
peace and love to
Because
everyone.
we easily couldn't have done this. We easily could have been like, no, bro, it's cancel.
Yeah, we both had excuses for sure.
But I'm much better off having done this with you. I'm glad we did it.
Me too. Happy Friday, Jake.
Yeah, man. Grateful for you.
All right. Love to everybody, and reach out to us for all of your health concerns and any questions you might have.
Yep. Show notes has ways of reaching out. Please do. We'd love to be of service. Love you guys. All right.
All right. Bye.
Out.